Hey, hey, hey. It's Alex with Waterfed Wednesday. And we got Jamie. Welcome aboard, Jamie. Glad to have you on.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
It's going awesome. The boss is not around. My assistant isn't here to help out. So uh we're gonna keep this real fun, Jamie.
Pretty casual. Let's do it.
Pretty casual. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Right on. Just checking in. We're going coming live from our Facebook channel. This Facebook Tucker page, Tucker USA on YouTube. And Jamie, I think we're broadcasting on yours as well, correct?
We are. Yep. Yep. Are we on Insta today or no?
We're not on Insta today.
Okay.
Um,
All
I
right.
just don't have the bandwidth to get on
Sure.
there.
No kidding. Are we going to be able to see comments and everything from people the way we do?
Yes, we will.
Good.
Like I said, we're gonna keep this real interesting today. We'll let the audience build up. Once again, this is Alex with Waterfed Wednesday, brought to you by Tucker USA. If you are this is your first time being here, welcome. We have several episodes for you guys to check out. This Today's episode is number 38, where we'll talk about mistakes that cost you jobs. Um, Really interesting topic. It's always at the time this time of the year when it's things are winding down, getting ready to ramp up for the next year. It's always good to review things, right, Jamie? Make sure you're getting in the right mindset, right?
It is. It is. I mean, I tell a lot of people, and I've done this since the first, well, probably not the first year. First year I sat on my hands all winter. Second, well, first full time year, but the second year I slowly realized that I missed a lot of opportunity. Not everybody has off seasons per se, but you have some type of season where it's either significantly slower that you can be evaluating your systems, evaluating your the way you do things and see what can improve. And here in Michigan, where I'm at, it's sneaking cold and will be till probably March. So we use this time to really hone in on the next year, 2026, and just to see what can improve. Look at our KPIs and try to make new goals. Goals are key. Write them down, folks, because you're not going to hit them unless you do.
Absolutely. Before we get into the episode, just like to remind everyone about our deals going on. Jamie, you're our rep. Can you
Yeah,
mention that?
yeah, we got 10% off store wide, website wide in December. If you're a Team Tucker member, you'll be getting a little bit more off. You're looking at probably closer to 20% off. So, it's a good time to get those last minute purchases in for the next year. Who knows what's going to be happening in 2026. So, for that guaranteed 20, you can hit me up. You can hit Ryan to hoop up. You can call Tucker and chat with somebody. What's up, Matt? Matt Garcia
Yeah.
says, "What's up?"
Dude, you got some crazy comments coming from your feed.
Oh,
uh,
I can't see anything. Which
well,
feed?
good.
The
Hey,
YouTube feed?
I think yeah, your YouTube. It's some interesting. It's coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
But hey, Matt, good to see you.
Let me check it out.
Right on. Well, hey, while we're letting, I just want to get the audience built up because this is not our usual time. We usually start a little bit later, so just wanted to make sure everyone's uh, catching up, get in here. So, as you do chime in, let us know what's going on in your area. Are you still out there hustling, or has weather slowed you down? Here in Colorado, it's gotten a little cooler. We had snow last week, as you know. We had to cancel this last week due to the weather, but we're back up into the 40s. So I know the guys here in Colorado are just getting out there cleaning whenever they can.
Are you guys weather is crazy over there. Like it could be like 60 or 70 one day and then like snowing the next day.
Yes, that's very much our weather. I don't even bother looking at it right now because just it might be one day it's really nice and yeah, tomorrow will probably be 30 degrees in snow. It's
See, Michigan's like it gets cold and then it stays cold,
yeah,
and we won't hit freezing. I mean, I think we have like 1 or 2 days in the next couple of weeks, but like it stays below freezing. Our wind chills is like -30 this weekend, so it gets extremely cold and makes you not want to do really anything. I can't see any of my comments on my YouTube side, so I have no idea what's going on.
it's all good. All good. Well, all right. Yeah, here. I feel like every state says this, Matt, but I think it's definitely true here in Colorado. If you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes. Absolutely. So yeah, let's get into it. Mistakes that cost you jobs. Uh, One of the number one topics that I think is involved with things that might cost you job is underpricing and undervaluing your work. What are your thoughts on that, Jamie?
Yeah, so I mean, it's underpricing. I mean, I think all of us learn it pretty quickly early on. You that's like number one question I see almost everywhere. Like, what should my prices be at? What is this worth? And I think it's something that kind of builds over time because one of my favorite sayings is like a premium brand builds premium pricing. So you really can't charge the maybe the most that you possibly could that you or maybe that you feel like you should personally until you prove yourself, until you get the reviews behind you, until you get the accolades from your community or from your work, and kind of improving that. When I first started, I remember I was at like $4 and $6 a window. I was so cheap, and I literally kept going. Second year, I slowly raised prices. But my philosophy was until people told me that I was not cheap anymore, that's when I kind of throttled it, right? I worked with a lot of companies, cleaning companies with networking, but just like people in general, clients in general, they're like, man, you are way too cheap, and they'll throw like an extra like $100 or $150 my way on tip. That's when you're really sneaking cheap when they're throwing money your way. So I think it comes with time, and comes with experience.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I was thinking back. It's been a while since I had my own business, and I've been in the industry or on the service side of it, um, going over 5 years. But I also remember when I first started up, thinking about these prices, like I can't be right. Like you calculate it, and yeah, I was about that price as well. Of course, that was back in like 2012, but I tally up all the windows because we have some pretty big homes here.
Yeah,
So that can't be right. They're gonna think that I'm just trying to steal money from. So
yeah,
you
yeah.
get in your own head too,
You do.
and you start to kind of like undervalue yourself.
Yeah,
You're like, well, I wouldn't pay that price. Well,
right.
you're not your ideal customer, and
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of
so
my favorite sayings is like that's one thing I had to like re-trigger my brain very early on because I didn't grow up wealthy. I didn't grow up, with a ton of money. I didn't even knew this was a thing, right? Before I got into it. But like I had to constantly remind myself, like, I'm not my client. I'm not looking for this. I wouldn't hire myself to clean my windows, right? That's just not who I am. But there are a lot of people out there that will, and they perceive it differently than you do. So, and I still think I'm not cheap, but I'm not like the most expensive. I definitely have still room to kind of grow. And that's some of the KPIs that you evaluate in your off season. And then now service plans are becoming a thing, right? So now you got to like think about, okay, how do I want to incorporate service plans into the business, and how do I want to perceive that value, because that's a whole nother beast in itself, whether you want to do percentages off or just bulk $100 off of this plan or $50 off of this plan. And I think it's just something that you got to kind of mess with and beta test on a few clients that you can trust.
yeah, absolutely. And I would also say if you're, we're probably talking to a lot of different, either first time people are just thinking about getting into a business, or
Yeah,
they might be in there for several years. Um, but if you're just starting um, window cleaning and you're thinking these prices are ridiculous, think of the things that by year 5 you want to be doing right.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
You want to
Yeah,
be in a shop. You want to have
yeah,
employees. You
yeah,
want to have the CRMs and all the awesome tools. Well,
Right.
you're not going to get there with being at the bottom of the market.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And that, like I said, that comes with time. And I think it just really just depends on how fast you want to move, how fast you want to go. When I first started, I had a couple mentors, right? But like one in particular was like, you need to be at $100 an hour or $125 an hour. And I'm like, there's no way I'm hitting $125 an hour. I'm averaging like 20 right now, right? Like 25. And they're like, no, you're going to want to be at 125. And within like 3 or 4 years, as your efficiency grew, as your tools grow, as your processes and systems grow, I was hitting 125, 150, 175, 200, but solo. So it's definitely doable, especially once you get get it all down. So
yeah, absolutely. So, when do you think would be appropriate as you want to figure out, hey, my prices aren't cutting it? When
yeah,
should you think about raising those prices up?
I mean, I definitely think there's ways to go about it. You definitely don't want to spring it on the clients right away. You almost want to do it gradually. So say if you want to do like a 10% increase across the board, maybe 10% on new clients because they don't know any better. But on your existing clients, you want to maybe go up maybe 5% one year and 5% the next year, or 3% for 3 years or something like that, where it's just a gradual. And most of the times I've found that clients get it, right? Like everything is getting more expensive. They know that, if they're the client that you want and that you've retained and they know you and trust you, they're not going to have any problems with it as long as you're upfront with them. You don't want to tell them like, hey, oh, I increased pricing, and you tell them when you're billing them after the fact. That's no bueno. But I think a gradual one would work. And you got to think about what's your approach, what's your 3-year vision, what's your goal. If you're looking solo and staying solo and you like it, and maybe you have a helper or maybe one other partner, then you can get away with just gradually or maybe staying on the lower side. But if you're trying to make this thing, grow this thing into a multi six figures, maybe 500, 800,000, you're not going to get away with charging cheap. Maybe you're only hitting 50 to 75. If you want a good profit margin, you need to be in that 125, $150 per man hour. Anywhere between 100 to 150 per tech to really be able to survive as a business.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, good points. Um, Thinking about other things that might um, cost you jobs. One of the things that I remember early on, it was you're trying to develop systems and stuff. And I had thinking back to my business. I actually bought a business. I don't know if I ever told you that, but I
Mm,
bought it. I bought an existing business, um, and they just pretty much did the basics. And then I was uh, made some assumptions
yeah,
on a level of service they had wanted. And I just remember going down this path. The customers were very happy because they used a different terminology, and basically they wanted the tracks done. And
mm,
the
yeah.
previous person, his way of tracks was just the outside, but where the screen was,
The
and that's
sill, right? I call that
still,
like
yep,
sill. Yeah,
exactly. Um, and but they, I guess this time around they wanted to do a little more, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. And then at the end of the job, actually it was a couple of days later, because they took off at towards the end, called me up, hey, you didn't do the tracks.
yeah,
I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? So
yeah.
what I was able to go back, and we had a better understanding. But I think uh, what led to a lot of frustration there was just really poor communication, before, during, and after the job. Um, so I think that's another area about it could cost you jobs, is poor communication. What are your thoughts on that?
100%. And I that's one thing from the get go when I did my training for the guys that I hired this past year, is like before, you know, maybe it was just after the actual cleaning training, but when you get into like the client training portion of your training program, communication is massive. It's just massive. It's like the make or break between callbacks, honestly. Yeah, if the work was terrible, that's a callback. But most of the callbacks are just miscommunication on certain things that were supposed to be done or weren't done. And tracks are a big one, right? It's all about the wording of how you put it into your estimates. and assume. A lot of assumptions happen, right? A lot of assumptions happen. And maybe during the initial like estimate process on the phone, you were like, yeah, this is what it entails. Like for us, we always do like a simple wipe down of the tracks, but if they want like a white glove treatment track, we charge, right? Because it takes a long time, and it just makes the job go. It's like the longest thing you can possibly do when window cleaning. So we charge appropriately for it. And I've had a few times even this season where they assumed that that was part of the package when in reality, it was just the wipe down, or maybe they said that they, asked for it, or, I always take responsibility just to make it easy, right? And I'm not trying to fight with anybody. So we'll go back and do it, usually free of charge, just to make them happy and to retain them as clients. But I think communication is key, and that's why I always tell my guys to just always go over things before you start the job, when you talk to them when you first get there, and then go over things. Hey, this is what we've done today. This is how we did it. If you have any issues, please let us know. We back everything up 110%, and that tends to work. But yeah, communication is a big killer, because how many times maybe miscommunications happened and they never called you, and they were just disappointed,
Yeah.
and they never called you back, and they went with somebody else and you never knew, right? I think that happens more than we think it does.
Mm-hmm.
You may have a 500 5-star reviews, but there was quite a few people in there that maybe some miscommunication happened, or they just weren't happy with the job or the experience, and they just went somewhere else without even telling you.
Yeah, absolutely. Oops. Um, yeah, thinking back, as I progressed with, when I first started the business, or bought that business, to the point when I sold it, just always working on the communication side, the expectation. So I remember when I first introduced water fed, I just went to start cleaning, right?
Yeah.
But that customer, it was actually, um, the homeowners were typically gone. It was the property management that was there, that lived on site, and they were always used to myself or whoever brought along doing it traditionally, right?
Yeah.
The next thing you know, we're there, water fed, and
Water's getting everywhere. You're
water's everywhere.
splashing, and
Yeah,
yeah.
you, because there's a different method. Like,
Sure.
you do all the upper windows, right? You move over, and then you're not doing the ones below that. And then they're like, "Well, you're leaving the windows wet. You didn't do this whole thing." I'm like, "Well, yes, you're right.
There's a
Doing
system
the top,
behind it. Yeah,
do
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
tops first, then I come back and do after the tops dry, right?" But that was a lot of frustration right there. And so you start learning things like, um, uh, towards the end, I had responsive bid, so I had the packages, so everything was communicated clearly ahead of time. Um, a lot of people didn't want to wait around for the estimate in person, so I explained the whole process. I even had, what to expect on our visit on our website. So
Nice. Yeah.
so I would get there, greet the customer, explain to them, hey, thank you for so much for doing the bid online. What I'm going to do is just take a few minutes, go around the house, just to make sure we're on the same page. Because there's been several times I've done several methods with response bid, whether it's window count, square footage, and people always underestimate their windows or their square footage. So just we're going to make sure everything's up front, make sure the pricing is right. You
Yeah.
know, then explain the process. If I'm doing water fed, I'm going to explain that, because,
Yeah. That's a
and
big
then
one. Yeah.
I would also know there's like, well, we've had that done before. It didn't turn out great. Explain why we,
Maybe why that didn't
yeah,
turn out great. Yeah. Yeah. I think, and a big part of that in any communication is just like pushing confidence, right? Because if you don't seem confident, the client's going to be, and they're going to feed off of that, and they're going to be like, man, this dude, like, maybe this was good, maybe this was a bad idea. But yeah, Patrick, explaining waterfed to boomers is exhausting. I was just about to hit on that. I wasn't going to call them boomers, but older generation, they're so used to the squeegee, right? And then, but just explaining to them while displaying confidence, like, hey, this is how we're going to do it. It's going to turn out perfectly, I promise. If you have any hard water, we're gonna touch it up for you. That's really the only way that they're gonna see spots. It's gonna, and you kind of gotta look at the temperature outside. If it's cooler, it's gonna take longer to dry. If it's warmer, then they're gonna see immediate results. But I always try to take them to the first like window that I did, just because it's normally the most dry. And I can, hey, look, this is how they're all going to look. If there's any issues, please call us. But I promise you, the windows are going to look great after it's dry, right? Mainly that's like early spring, late fall, where it just takes hours for these things to dry. I always tell them gravity, water's going to, get on the bottom. That's the last thing to dry. You're going to see spotting, but I promise the spotting's not going to stay there. But yeah, it's kind of exhausting, and they always have this look on their face, like, okay, dude, whatever. And then I've had a lot of times where they'll call me after and be like, oh my gosh, he's turned out amazing,
Yeah.
or they'll tell us the next time, right? Like, I did not anticipate that. You guys, you completely blew me away, because in your head it's almost like a splash and dash for these people, right? They're like, well, they're not even doing any of this, and they're not hitting these as good as, but as we all know, like, water fed does work just as well, and you can hybrid it. Well, that's not a word. Like, use it in hybrid with, trad, right? I mean, you could a lot of the jobs that we do, I will steel wool first and then maybe just rinse with, with water fed, or I'll scrub it with something else. So I mean, there's just so many ways to go about it. But yeah, Patrick, I agree, dude. It sometimes can get pretty tiring trying to get it across.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we do have the technology. It does work.
100%, 100% works. And the more I get online, I'm trying to like kind of grow my socials and stuff. The more you put yourself out there, dude, the more hate you get, right? Like they will call you out on the dumbest things. And you don't even realize that it's like there, but it's just because it's different from the way they do it. Um, and I think, like, brand wise, that's an issue too. Like, just because things are different doesn't mean it's any better. It doesn't mean it's not going to come out with the same results, right? I do think quality, there's difference in quality of equipment, but I do think that, like, nobody's remaking water fed. I tell people that no one's remaking water fed. This is how it works. People are just finding different ways to use it, different ways to utilize it, and put it in different ways to be able to benefit that specific user with membrane size and pumps and no pumps and correlation on where the membranes and stuff are. So yeah, I think that's an issue too. So basically, if you don't want to get hated on, don't go online and put yourself out there, because people just love to fry you, man.
Yeah, you got to just like the pure water, let it roll off the window.
I know. Yeah,
Just
yeah, for real. Like they'll like call you out on, like, why is that pole so long? You're doing like 2 feet. I'm like, dude, like, this is the pole we use. Like, why does it matter? Like, what the? I don't get it.
it's all good. Just hey, any interaction is good, right?
And that's what I tell them. Like, I had this one video kind of get all these comments and likes off of just, I don't know, it was just like the simplest thing. I was using a pole, and I did some pole work in this house. This specific house had 4 transom windows in their living room, the highest windows they had, maybe 10 or 15 feet up, right? 10 or 12 feet up. And I did them by pole, right? Because I had the pole with me. You never know when you're going to need it, behind washer, dryer, whatever. And I had the pole, so I just did them with a pole, and I happened to record myself. I was wearing socks, right? Like, whatever. People were roasting me on wearing socks. People were like, just go grab a stinking step stool. What are you doing, you moron? And I'm like, dude, like, this is fine. This works. The windows are clean. It's just
Yeah,
people just like hating. But I did tell them, to my point, keep commenting, keep liking this, because it's just pushing it farther and farther.
absolutely. Uh, Going back to the communication, obviously, like we're talking about, I think having better explanation in your bidding process. You talked about, the packages, having everything set in stone, or,
Right.
when we get on site, talking to them. What about, what do you do anything for like the post job, whether it's immediate or, down the road?
You mean like to
Like a
follow ups?
yeah, follow
Oh
ups.
yeah, for sure, dude. So um we do automatic review requests, right? So like my CRM will kick out automatic review requests. We got over 85-star reviews last year just based off of that, which is phenomenal. So if you don't have a CRM with an automatic review request store, you're doing yourself a disservice. We also, one thing I'm implementing, we did a little bit this year, but one thing that the coaching program I did, happy calls. So basically, we just follow up the day after. Hey, how's everything looking today? is there anything that we could have done better? How was your experience? And just make sure they're good, just to kind of hit on, like I said, if there's, because I did have a few issues where they were like, yes, I wasn't going to call you, but they missed this window, or maybe this screen wasn't put back in, or something just simple that humans make mistakes, and we go back and fix it, and they're like, thank you, see you guys next year, like type of situation. So it's a good way to retain.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I utilize Responsibit, and it had I had my CRM, but also what was cool about Responsibit, it would also have follow up process. Like
Yeah.
you can set it whatever you want, a day after,
Yep.
week after, and I've had several sequences. So that after inviting them for the review process, like you did, and I also think it had I think it's still around Nice Job, where you put photos of the job, and it'll
Mm,
send out reminders as well to get those reviews.
that'd be nice because I have a lot of pictures on my phone, dude. Like so many. I think one of them's Company Cam. A lot of guys use. That's like an integrator that goes into the CRM. But I mean, you pay for it separately, but it's a good way to store photos because the whole iPhone thing, dude. No joke. I recorded a video, so I'm doing a squeegee board type of series on my YouTube and on my socials, and I'm just diving into different topics, right? And 2 days ago, I recorded a video on my phone. It was a 30-minute video. I was nailing it, just crushing it, right? Was done, went back to my phone. The dang phone timed out after 30 seconds, and I never realized it. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I just got a new camera and just did my second episode. Nice Sony little flip camera so I can see myself recording. And I just got to figure out a way to, how to upload it. It's all new. I'm so used to my phone doing everything so easily. Now I'm using an outside source. So um, yeah, that's technology can be good, but it can also suck.
Well, with the communication I was doing, it didn't suck, which was great
Yeah,
because yeah, it did the follow up process, make sure everything was done perfectly. Yeah, got them to do more reviews, and then also in that follow up, uh, maybe a little bit down the road, uh, I played around with it, and I would do quarterly stuff. Just hey, how's it going, basically. You know, and that also drummed in work or brought work in because you never know when they're going to have a party. And
right.
you're like, you know what, thanks for your email, that reminded me I need to get my windows done, we're going to have our mother-in-law here, whatever. So uh, just that follow-up communication, part of, and the heading of poor communication action, or doing things to improve that. uh, Follow-up is huge, post follow-up. And if you're not doing it, that in itself can cost you jobs. So
We do like I used to do quarterly emails type newsletters just to prompt people, because I have like a return of like 65% roughly, but I also have a lot of people I haven't seen in a couple years, so I'm trying to get them back on the scene. They're stored in my CRM, but like every time I would do an email blast, last couple years, I mean, I averaged between like, I don't know, $5,000 to $10,000 in work. That oh, thanks for the reminder, or thanks, I totally forgot, and oh, hey, I have this party like you said, or I have this and this. But that's why I'm trying to implement service plans. So like once we see them in the spring or even before, my goal is to get everybody that I can get on in February or March. That way, hopefully, like one truck is full, and then and we can only focus on the new because I'm adding a truck or a van next season. So I'll have two vans out there, and just trying to keep that one full. Hopefully, I can fill one pretty quickly, and then just have to worry about the other with some new marketing techniques. But that's where the service plans comes in, because you can get them booked out for the year and get everything in stone, so you don't have to keep reevaluating or rebooking people over and over. And I think it'll just lead to a lot more revenue for you.
yeah, absolutely. Going
How many
through our
people? How many
what's
how many people we got watching right now? I'm curious.
we're down to 7. I think what was going on that was so crazy before. StreamYard does a lot of new things every time. So I'm looking on here, and it's showing like it looks like the phone. So anytime we go live, I don't know if you ever doom scroll on YouTube on the reels.
Yeah.
or shorts, but they'll have the live stuff.
Oh yeah. So people like just random people can see it.
Randomly, I
Mm,
think we got randomed, selected by a lot of people, and it had some weird questions.
that's hilarious.
So yeah,
Oh,
that
see,
was interesting.
that's funny.
Um, One of the things, uh, it's part of the communication, but also maybe going into something else that I was just thinking of, um, documenting work. Um, Especially, this is something you probably would be more concerned with when you have employees. You're not really out in the field.
Yeah.
What do you do? Say you send out your employees new job. Um, I'm sure they go around beforehand, right? And then do they, like, if there's a crack window or something damage on the windows, do you just what do you do about that?
So yes, I mean that happens actually quite a bit because people like will be mowing and stuff, or a rock will catch like the base. Usually it's the basement window. Like we did this like $2 million house last year, and one of their basement windows, like the second level, so it was the inside pane, was like a shoe went through it, right? Or something. But yeah, but so essentially what you want to do, like in the training type of situation for your guys, is like, especially with water fed, because as you know, you got to put pressure on that glass. So if there's any kind of crack or anything in that, put pressure on it, put water in it. I've had water go into seals. I've had, man, I made a mistake a few years ago. They had this big crack in one of their main windows in their kitchen. And they're like, don't worry about that one. We got to get it fixed. We've just been dragging our feet. Well, I got my headphones in. I'm doing my thing, dude. And before I could even think about it, I smacked the water fed brush on. Not super hard, but hard enough, evidently, because it went right through the window.
Wow.
Broke the window fully. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was gonna pay for it for him and do all this. They're like, look, it was broke already. You just made us fix it a lot quicker. So, but yeah, so you basically want to train your guys to kind of do a walk around, just see if they see any discrepancies. What I tell my guys is if you guys see a crack, skip the window, and then come back to it. Tell the client to come out with you. Hey, were you aware of this? Because you don't want to get blamed for anything that's definitely not your fault, right? If it was your fault, yes, I mean you need to take care of it. But if it was already there prematurely, then I mean you need to bring aware and if you didn't, it's kind of on you, because if you didn't bring awareness to the client and they see it after the fact, it's your problem whether you like it or not. Because some clients won't. I mean, they're kind of looking for a fix, whether it was your fault or not, and they're going to
Right.
use unfortunately, probably going to try to use your insurance to do so.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You'd always do a walk around. I remember one job I had, it was storms. It was in a part of Denver that's older, and storms are
Storms suck.
it was bad. It was like, I don't know what, it had to have been from like the early 1900s, late 1800s. It's like this storm window that it hung on the frame, and then you kind of put it in, and there's these locking pins or something. I can't remember.
Terrible.
And
Was it wood or was it
wood,
metal?
they're wood
Wood. Wood's
frames.
so freaking heavy. So you had to take out the whole like. Did you have
So
to take out the whole outside just to like get it out? Type of wood, or are they hinged?
they were hinged. So, but I had there's something locking them in the bottom, right? They didn't want them flapping around. I went through several of them, and uh, I, I got to one, and I noticed the wood frame at the bottom was just rotten. Um, and I called the homeowner out, um, as soon as I came across it. I'm like, "Hey, I can go ahead and do it, take care of this for you. Just want to make you aware that this is rotten
Yeah.
and this could cause some damage." She's like, "Please go ahead and take care of it," because it was towards the front of the house and they wanted
Hmm.
to see out. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, absolutely, I'll take care of it." Went to take it apart, and as soon as it, like, oh, try to swing it out like all the other ones, and then lift it, and then
Yeah.
all that rot, it was like really rotten.
Disintegrated.
It just like disintegrated, broke all the glass, and
Oh my god.
it was crazy. But I talked to the homeowner before, and
Yeah.
he was like, I'm sure he was a little irritated, but I brought it to his attention. He totally signed off on it, and I'm grateful that I did because he was a lawyer. So I'm sure, I'm
No
sure if I didn't
kidding.
bring his attention to it,
Well,
it'd
at
been
least he could afford to
more.
fix it.
Yeah,
So he was a good lawyer.
but definitely, if you come across something, especially with your employees. Just make sure they bring it. Um, Definitely the homeowner's attention. I would, we had ways of documenting like Jobber.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you
and
use
of
Jobber
course,
at one point?
I did use it when I was operations manager for a company. I also used trying to think of the other one, House Call Pro. And
Yeah.
there's different areas where you can store photos. So
Yeah.
always document, document,
Yeah.
document.
Yeah.
Um,
Dude, storms stink so bad. I get so many calls for storms because we have sections of our like service area that are just older, and like we tend to not go in that vicinity very often just because we know if you've been window cleaning for more than a couple of years, you know how bad most storms suck. Pellas. um Cole says what's up, Cole. um they're just terrible, and especially solo, it's very hard to effectively do storms by yourself. It is just, it takes forever. You need two people most of the time, and to make it at least halfway efficient. So we just stopped doing them. I have one guy around us that he tends to like them, so I just send everybody his way and kind of wash my hands of it, because it tends to be more of a hassle than not. And with a lot of these storms, we found that they haven't been touched in probably 30 years. So
yep.
when you start moving stuff and finagling crap, like it never goes back in the same, or it just takes so long, you're afraid you're going to break something.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us, Cole, do you have a lot of storms in Georgia?
Georgia. I was born in
Georgia.
Georgia,
Yeah.
born in hot Atlanta. Don't
Hotland.
remember it, of
Oh,
course.
wow.
I was born in Atlanta. I spent some summers there growing up, but I don't remember a ton.
One of the worst airports in the world.
Really? Isn't
Yeah.
one of the biggest too?
I don't know. I just always have problems flying in and out of Atlanta. Perfect rinse window washing. Hey, we got a Jamie fan alert here.
Yeah.
Let's
What's
thank
up?
Jamie for all his help. Outstanding rep for Tucker, and I agree.
Awesome. I think that is Matt. I think that's Matt. I'm gonna have to look, but I'm pretty sure. What's up, man? He I he got he got one of the delivery units. He,
Oh,
he got
nice.
my setup. Yep. Yeah, the Tucker Max and delivery unit. So he's rocking it in a like a big trailer, which is like he's like one of the only guys that I know that does the trailer thing with
Yeah.
waterfed, which if you could do it, awesome. I would hate to drive it around, but
Oh yeah, I think I have seen that. Didn't you do a video?
yes, yep,
Yep, I did watch that setup. Uh, Pretty awesome. Yeah,
yeah, it is.
absolutely.
He's crushing it.
Mistakes that cost you jobs. That's what we're talking about. If you're just joining us, Waterfed Wednesday, episode 38. So what we chatted about? We talked about underpricing and undervaluing your work, and a big one, poor communication before, during, and after the job. Another one I wanted to highlight is working outside your lane without training. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I kind of made that mistake early on, when I first had the window cleaning business idea. Um, you tend to think as a person in general, like more things I can offer people, the better. But that's true to a point. If you do that too quickly, you kind of shoot yourself in the foot. Um, my path was I started like doing like the pressure washing thing and doing like all the things that window cleaners usually will add on. I didn't do gutters at first, but I tried doing soft washing and all this, and I found very quickly that I wasn't really properly trained, and I don't know if you've done any of this, Alex, but like you could really screw a house up, with these chemicals if you don't know what the heck you're doing. Um, and I could pressure wash all day long. Like that's not hard, with concrete and doing all that. I did it for a living at Western, but when you get into a lot of these higher end homes, you could create a crap show, if you're not careful. So Windows eventually won over for me, and I chose to get really, really good at window cleaning before I added anything else to the mix. Because it kills me seeing some of these vans and trucks out there that have like, yeah, it says they're like maybe that, pressure washing, but then there's like 8 different services under that. I'm like, dude, like you're probably mediocre at all of those.
Yeah.
you know
Uh, yeah, you're reminding me when I first had the business, and wintertime would slow down here in Colorado. It's not especially on the front range. I'm not talking about everybody always has an image of Colorado when you're not in Colorado, and it's
right,
like 2 feet of snow or what have you. Yeah, that's up in the mountains, up in the ski areas. We live along what's called the Front Range, so right at the foothills of the mountains, basically. So our weather's a little different. It's more like high desert at times. So like you mentioned earlier, it could be 60 degrees, 65. The next day it's 20 and you get a foot of snow, but it'll
right.
melt away. So we never fully put our stuff away. So, but it does slow down. And I remember getting uh, some requests about handyman work, and I'm like, yeah, I've done construction in the past.
Oh man,
I've built. I used to. So I lived probably not too far where you are now in the Michiana area.
sure.
So I worked in the manufactured homes, RV industry. So I built 1,000 manufactured homes. So it's like I was like, yeah, I can do that.
A lot. Yeah, yeah,
That can go wrong really fast.
yeah.
I remember, yeah, I'm gonna help you out with fixing your windows and doing all this stuff, and it's like you're not pricing it properly. You're there for like 6 hours when you thought you're only gonna be there for an hour and a half. So definitely stay in your lane unless you're gonna get trained in that area. But it's still you're like that truck or a van where you have
Yeah,
like all these different services, and
right.
you can't read all of it, and you're going to be mediocre.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and it's like that jack of all trades, master of none
yeah,
situation. Like we just added like gutter cleaning last year, and I've been in business like 7 years, and I was always just kind of reluctant. Gutter cleaning's not hard, it's just learning the ins and outs of how to approach it. Doing the job itself isn't hard. You're cleaning out gutters, but there are ways to do it, and there are ways not to do it. So yeah. So I mean, it can go south really quickly, and it's like when people it falls down to branding too, in my opinion, right? Like if you have all these services and you're trying to like establish this brand, it's a lot harder to establish a brand when you're like doing 10 different things. Now, as you grow and you get better and more efficient and the revenue's coming in and you can kind of I'm a big proprietor on like different divisions rather than like having it all under one. So if we ever start doing house washing, like hardcore, I'm gonna have like a house washing division and have a truck that just does like Hallman house washing or Hellman soft washing or something like that. That way it's not like Hellman window washing and house washing is very tiny underneath, right?
yeah,
That's part of the marketing and the branding thing. So you got to be careful with that.
yeah, absolutely. Um, one of the aspects of under that working outside of your lane without training, there's stuff that might make sense, like you're saying, the house washing and all that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
get yourself educated, um, especially in house washing. If you're just like Uh, here, that's another thing we don't really have. We don't have to deal with mildew, algae, all that stuff, right?
Okay. Yeah.
If you're in an area that oh, that there's a lot of money in that. So,
Yeah.
just
Here it's bad here. Like
yeah,
I mean, it's north side of houses are just usually terrible. I mean, so we have a lot more pressure washing companies around here, probably times 4 to 5 over window cleaning companies, which blows my mind. People are very reluctant to get in window cleaning rather than
yeah.
everything else. But
But that's when you can get dangerous pretty fast. You put it
yeah,
too hot of a mix,
yep.
of bleach, like you just go super strong. You don't know anything about uh
Destroy the plants,
sort of, yeah, exactly. Destroying plants, just educating yourself on the right chemicals, right? Or you get people getting into water fed window cleaning, and next thing you know, either a customer or they look up or they're paying attention to what's going on in the industry, adding in solar, but
Yeah.
not
Oh yeah,
understanding
that's a good one.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, not understanding everything that's involved with that, and educating yourself, especially on the safety side. It's something I didn't certainly didn't think of when I started doing it. I'm
Well,
like,
well,
yep,
well, yeah, because they see it like like that looks easy. I can do that. Not thinking that they're literally holding a carbon fiber pole on a live electrical, you know, thing.
Yeah.
Like I mean, this is it's live. It doesn't look live, but it's. I mean, all it takes is one bad slip or touching the wrong part when you're doing something else, and you're gonna feel it.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it, I didn't think anything of it. Putting, I'm just going to put some water on this thing, but there's so many hidden dangers. So educating yourself on any aspect that, if you're going to try to venture into a different avenue that might make sense, like, yep, you have water fed pole. Yeah, you can clean panels. Just make sure you're educating yourself before you
Definitely,
jumping into it.
definitely, and
Um,
that's go ahead.
I just want Cole chimed in here. We got some strong storms past. Well, see, I don't know if he has to deal with storms, windows. Maybe misunderstood there.
Yeah,
Uh,
but he also hates the airport. So
yes, he does hate the airport. So that is a true statement. Storm windows is what we're chatting about. The bane of many windows cleaning's existence.
were you able to? I'm gonna go off on a tangent here. I had a call today from a guy that I helped out. I think he was from New York or Jersey or somewhere. And he had just got a Tucker Max, and he sends me pictures. What's up, Craig? He sends me pictures. One of his units got left outside. That Max system got left outside, and just it froze solid. And
Oh,
I was like, well, we can't see what's the issues here until it thaws out, because we don't know, how the housings look or the plastics tops, like who knows. But the reason I'm getting at is, like, Cole brought up storms. Were you, when you're in Colorado, like in your part where your service area was, were you able to work year round, or did you have a shutdown period? I know you get snow off and on, but like, were you able to work year round outside or no?
yeah, pretty much year round.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
nice.
there's times in summer we get, you know kind of a rainy monsoon type season,
Okay,
but it's kind of interesting here because for a long time Colorado's in a drought for over 20 years, so
really?
it
Wow.
was pretty much perfect summertime.
Right.
So it's been of late where we've had um, more stormy type weather, but yeah, generally uh, weather's good year round here. So
See, like in Michigan, on one hand, I wish we could work year round, but then I knew, yeah, I know that there would be a lot more competition around me. You
yeah,
know, um, you know, like I said, we're gonna have 20-30 degree below wind chills. It's just not feasible a lot of the winter to do anything outside, let alone water fed, right? When I first started, I was always trying. I'd have these route work when I had route. I don't have route anymore. We focus on residential for the better part of the 80% of our revenue. But I'd get calls like, "Hey, can you go do this?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I can do it," and I'd go out there and it'd be like 15-20 degrees, and even using a windshield wiper fluid was freezing on some of the times because the wind chill was so stinking cold. I'm like, this is terrible. This is not worth it. And it's like it's just so crazy how some of the country we have to shut down almost entirely. When it gets so cold, and a lot of the country you can kind of push through. So I'm kind of envious, but then again, I'm not.
yeah. Um, there, yeah. There's what kind of stinks is I'm trying to recall. May would be a tough month because everybody would want to get on the schedule.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
can have great weather, but also our snow. The chance of snow can be great here. Now, this is the longest it's been till we got our first snow. I think it's just last month we got our first snow towards the end of the month. Um,
And that was late for you guys, or was
that
that
is
early?
that is very late for
Hmm.
us because there's. I remember back in 2020 we had snow. I remember Labor Day was like 90 some degrees, and 3 days later it snowed. Um,
Jeez,
and that season it went from September uh, to middle of May we had snow.
dang, that's a
it,
lot.
so there was a lot of rescheduling,
Yeah,
and sometimes you would miss work on that because the weather can be so crazy.
right.
No worries, Cole. It's all good. Thanks for listening in. Oh, I was wrong. The boss man is listening
Oh
in.
no, you summoned him. You summoned him.
Yeah.
Oh, is he on a flight right now? What is he doing?
Yeah. We're in the world of Sean Gavin now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I agree. Don't uh for the most part, I don't miss storms. I know Craig was saying that he loves storms. Um,
really?
yeah.
So
Give
I
me old hung storms.
man. See, that's like one of the guys around me that I give our storm jobs to. Like he is kind of super old school, kind of like Craig, right? Like even though he's my age, right? Like maybe upper 20s, low 30s, the dude has an old soul and he loves like the craft behind window cleaning. And I think that
Yeah.
takes a true professional to really enjoy that and to take your time because I think we get a lot caught up in the next job and just like the revenue and the numbers portion. But I think Craig's a really good example of just exhibiting that true passion and just enjoying the craft. And I think that's something not to look over for sure.
Yeah. Um, I think you're absolutely right because when I had him early on, I was able to plan accordingly, or
Yeah.
not try to get so much in a day's work.
Right.
And it was towards the end before I sold my business. It's like, you know what, this whole area, I'm not getting any new bids because
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that's a heavy storm window area.
Yeah.
um but earlier on, and it does take some skill level, but also I knew as I was expanding the business and doing uh, ads on Google, and I get these a lot of times they're especially at that time frame, a lot of people were moving into Denver. Like you said, they haven't been cleaned in like 30 years, so they were
Yeah.
just falling apart. It's just
Yeah.
becoming more and more liability. But I had a customer that had huge property out here, one of the largest landowners in the United States, and all he had
What?
was storms. He had It was like a 12,000 square foot home, French
Oof.
paint, and
You did that by
storm.
yourself?
I myself and my wife, I had some sub
Dang.
out, but it would be like a whole week out there. Uh,
Wow.
I charge whatever I wanted,
Right.
so
No.
that's perfect.
That's crazy. I think it's a double-edged sword because you're either in the mindset of I love this craft, I could do this until I retire. And as long as you do that appropriately, there's a lot of there's a
Yeah,
lot of value there, right? Craig comes in. I love when we take storm systems off and rehab them, make sure everything is set right, felt, be their holes. And we have to deal with some minor woodwork. I get a little more excited. See that takes a true a
yeah,
true professional. Taking off trim, re-roping weights, balancing them. Old style windows are awesome, and I love that for you, Craig. But that's not me. Like that is that is not me. I love the sales side more. I love the marketing side more, and it's a double edged sword because I think if you want to be a solopreneur, as I call it, and just like do your thing, as I wanted to in the beginning, that's a
yeah,
perfect spot for you. But if you're trying to grow and train guys or gals, whoever you hire, whatever, to go out and clean windows, it's a lot harder to do stuff like that because they don't have the passion that you have, and they're going to break a lot of stuff. So in
hmm
my head, it's like let's score these jobs that are the least liability jobs, the easiest jobs. You're going to create a niche, and you know how long it's going to take your guys, because at the end of the day, it's about creating a thriving business that you can give your workers a good living wage, and just be a good cultured company. But I think some of that stuff has to almost fall off a little bit if you're trying to do that.
yeah. I agree. We talked about it a little bit before we were talking about the weather and about this guy with the max output. So, uh, wow, I just now noticed the time. Time is speeding on by. Uh,
Wow.
so I want to talk about mistakes that could cost you jobs, and that is equipment neglect
Mm,
or failure to upgrade your systems.
yeah.
Um, what Go back to that guy, and I think
Yeah.
you left off with we just got to wait and see, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
what what can that possibly cost? Do you?
Well, he's looking if his housings are broke, if his if stuff froze, his membranes are probably not going to work effectively. So you're looking at 15 to two probably $2,000 of damages that I think it looked like it was either his partner or his tech did. And he was pretty bummed about it, right? But also you got to look at the cost of what you just lost in revenue by not being able to use that system.
Yeah.
I like I said, we don't know the extent of it, but you know, do not let your water fed systems freeze by any means necessary. And if that means storing them in your kitchen or your living room for a night or two, guys, that's what you're gonna have to do because it can be really very costly very quickly. And it's more than just the cost of the system.
Yeah. So you're pretty much done for how long?
We won't kick up and running until March, probably beginning to the middle of March, depending on if my birthday's April 6th. I've had snowstorms on my birthday, so it just depends on what the weather does.
So what are you doing with your equipment then? Your water fed.
So this year, 2025, is my first year with a shop. So I have a heated shop that I can store everything in. It is a godsend. Heated floor, so I don't have to worry about winterizing anything. I have an indoor tap that I can flush every few weeks and just make sure my systems are keep running. But before, I was storing everything in our 2-car garage. Mind you, it was insulated. It was good. I mean, it stayed above freezing most of the time, but on those certain days, and there was a handful of them that it got below freezing outside. It would get below freezing. It usually was a 20 to 30% or 20 to 30 degree temperature difference. Then so if it was zero outside, it would be hovering around 0 to 5 outside. It would be hovering around freezing in my garage. So I would have to stick heaters in my van. I would shove everything in my van and stick a little heater in there that had a little. You got to be careful and use one that has a tip function in case it tips over and it'll just shut off, safety feature. But I would set it to like the lowest it could go, which is probably like 57, 55, and then it would kick on for a couple days every as needed, just to keep everything from freezing.
Yeah, we when I got back into the industry back in 2019, uh, back on the cleaning side of it, um, I took a van home. We had the fill and go in there, and the owner he took time to insulate everything.
Nice.
Um, then also we had he worked on he installed a diesel heater, but that thing never really worked. So we had the heater in there, and when it was just going to dip below freezing, we just made sure I had an extension cord, plugged it into my townhome, just heated it up,
Yeah.
and that that helped us survive those the winters. Like I said, we didn't really have to put it away or winterize stuff. We just make sure to protect it when those below freezing uh, weather came in. Um, so yeah, definitely if you're in an area that's getting cold, don't let those things freeze. Absolutely. We'll typically see it when the country has that first really big freeze. We'll get those calls. Hey, I need a new. You know, fortunately, most of our stuff now is that we got our systems are stainless steel.
Yep.
Before when we had the PVC, that would definitely freeze. Uh,
Explode.
but we'll see a lot with like the max outputs. It has the clear housing, so your
Yep.
pre filters are going to crack
Crap.
on you. So absolutely. Um, Craig says, "Don't forget the hoses and brushes." Absolutely. Keep keep those drained and thawed for sure. Um, Another thing aspect to it, and real quick before I forget about this, a lot of times you get asked about what to do in the winter, so I don't want to forget about this. If you're in a climate like us where you can get away with it, at least running water through your system every couple of weeks, just to make sure there's no bacteria built up. That's what's might be happening. Like somebody might say, "Well, I'm in an area that only gets maybe lows in the 40s, right? So above freezing, I can just leave in my garage, right? Not necessarily true. What you also want to be aware of that you can get bacteria built up
Yeah.
in your membrane housings, and
Yeah.
that happens, your membranes will fall up, and um, that would be an expensive replacement cost.
Yeah.
So
We do. We do have the R. I think we have it on the website. So right, the RO saver.
The RO preserve.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so that is um, fantastic if you're not going to be in a
Be able to flush
situation
it.
where you
Yeah.
can't flush it or run water through your system. Utilize that. And basically, what you'll do is you get the packet. Say you have a single RO system. You before you put that into your membrane. What I like to do is get like a gallon jug, or advise get a gallon jug of your pure water out of that, or distilled water, but definitely utilize your system there. Mix that with the packet of RO preserve, and give it a good shake. You're going to pour it directly into your RO membrane. You open up your housing, so let it
Yeah.
saturate through there
Nice.
for sure. And that's going to prevent that bacteria buildup. Uh, but you still have to store somewhere warm. Just keep that in mind. That
Yep.
RO
Can't
preserve
get around that.
is not a um, way of preventing freezing. So it's just preventing that bacterial buildup. What about also um, maybe you'll get somebody who, they're maybe they got into an entry level system 1 year, and now they're expanding, um, growing like crazy, and they're still trying to get the most out of that entry level system. Is that something you think can cost work as well, cost jobs?
Yeah. I mean, if you're struggling, and I see this a lot because I did the same thing, right? Like I had a single RO system and it did not have a pump on it. It didn't have anything. And I learned very quickly after that first year. And it wasn't just wells that I ran into with low PSI, but it was just tall glass as I got more calls from lake homes and stuff that, I needed a bigger system. I needed a pump. I needed something, especially as I got people to help me maybe on certain jobs that I knew I couldn't do myself, and maybe you wanted to do a pole system, right? Efficiency falls heavily under cost. Because if you're not hitting your hourly targets for specific jobs because your equipment can't keep up, that's a problem. And then you need to look at your profit margins and see, okay, maybe I need to, maybe look at leasing, or sorry, financing something. Sometimes that makes sense, or dipping into the savings and just taking that shot of hey, I need to upgrade and it's time. And every time I did that, I always found a buyer for my equipment, mind you. I always sold it at like 50 to 60%, even after years of use. So don't think you can't, retain something from that. Usually that blow is pretty soft. There's a market out there. I took something on trade locally from a window guy that just didn't cut it. He tried it for a year or two and didn't really like it. So we had some trade stuff going on, and he ended up giving me like two different units, and I sold them, shipped them across the country, and got a decent amount of money for him. So don't think just because you have to upgrade means you're going to lose out on that initial purchase, because that's not the case.
Yeah, what I also found a lot, especially when we get the ass a lot, and at first, you try to be like, yeah, absolutely, you can, um, you do some certain things that can, make this a little bit more, I don't want to say maybe efficient, get more output out of it, but it what ended up happening is just cause a lot of downtime because things were breaking.
Yeah.
Instead of just
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
you know what, maybe just like you said, just invest in that other equipment that it's going to take you to that next level.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and that was the number one reason I did not DIY anything when I first started, because like I knew with the warranties out there and the vendors out there that could provide me a really great system like Tucker, that I didn't want to put up. I'm a guy to pay a little bit more extra not to have to deal with the bull crap later on, or the downtime, where trying to DIY everything. Yeah, maybe I'll save $1,000, but for me, time is money, and I don't want to have to be down and out for weeks on end because this thing that I built keeps screwing up.
yeah, absolutely. Um, Time is very important. Was very important to me, especially if you're at the beginning of the season and you got
And the
so
schedule
much
full.
equipment,
Yeah,
so full, and,
yeah,
and you know you're trying to work on equipment and it's just failing. That you know what, just take that moment, uh, utilize that money that you have on the schedule for, you know, and
yeah.
upgrade that equipment.
If you
Speaking of.
real quick, if you can't afford to upgrade equipment, that's one of the biggest signs that you need to stink and raise your prices, because
There you go.
we all know window cleaning is very lucrative when you're dialed in. Even when you're not dialed in, guys, there's a lot of money there, and if you're not setting aside the money, to be able to invest in yourself in the business, you got to reassess. So
Absolutely. Speaking of equipment, time for a little plug. Head on over to tuckerusa.com. Tell them what they can get, Jamie.
get anything you want. Yeah, no, we have tons of systems, tons of we have some of the best quality, poles and systems in the industry, and we have pros on staff like Alex, like myself, that have been doing this long enough where we can direct you in the right direction, whether it be water fed, solar, trad, or if you just want to talk shop, give us a call, and we can help you out. We usually always have something going on, some type of deal during the month. So yeah, don't hesitate.
Yeah, absolutely. So take advantage of the year-end sale where we have 10% off store wide. And if you're Team Tucker member, yes, you can take advantage of some deeper savings. Also, for this month, many of our dealers are also offering that. So I know a lot of times we'll get people who are in different areas that want to check out the equipment. And so if you're in the Dallas area, you can definitely check out Dallas window cleaning supplies. If you're over in San Diego area, we have Randy at Window Magic. There's so many dealers. So if you're looking for someone, give us a call too. We can point you in the right direction. And if there's not someone there, we have Jamie, we have Ryan, we have definitely people that can assist you with equipment, and like you said, with if you want to talk shop, we're
Yeah,
definitely here for you.
definitely.
Awesome. Well, I am going to go ahead and end it here. I know it's like pretty late there, so thank you so much, Jamie, for joining us today for
No
Waterford
problem.
Wednesday, episode
Enjoyed it.
38. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for listening in, checking in all the interactions. Really appreciate you all as well. And we'll definitely catch you on the next one. Take care.
Okay, see ya.